Greetings and salutations. It's out here enjoying a stogie and some scotch, and have some thoughts that I would like to share with you guys. Recently, I did a a TikTok about. I've been doing a TikTok series about authors' drinks, and today I did one about Charles Bukowski, and Charles Bukowski was a big fan of the Boilermaker. That was his drink of choice. But I want to talk about Charles Bukowski for a moment. I really didn't start reading Charles Bukowski until much later in my life. When I was in college, I took a lot of creative writing courses. I don't know if you know this or not, but I fancy myself as a writer. I actually have had a short story that was adapted into a comic book. It's called I Am Become Death. That's what the title is. You can actually find it on YouTube, or not YouTube, Amazon. Sorry. The Charles Bukowski Boilermaker started me on the journey of a little bit of drinking. And I've been drinking a little bit. I've got this scotch right here. Cheers. And I thought I'd smoke a stogie here on the porch, the back porch of my house here. I took a lot of creative writing classes, and a lot of the creative writing classes are courses where you write, and then and I'm sorry because I've been drinking a little bit, so I can't really remember the word for it right now, but you sort of you give it to all the people, and they critique it. I took 3 of these. Every single one of my professors and a lot of the students in the class said I remind them of Charles Bukowski, and I had never read Charles Bukowski at that point. And then I started reading Charles Bukowski, and I felt like he and I are kind of like, kindred spirits here. But in the whole sphere of American literature, he's very interesting and very unique, I think, because if you were to try to put that on one of your syllabi as a professor, I don't know if today you'd get away with it. I don't know if you would. My thoughts about him are he's really real and really raw. And I don't know if we have a lot of that in literature right now. I've read a lot of books. I have a master's degree in literature, by the way, if you didn't know that. My master's degree, my thesis was about James Joyce's Ulysses. And I'm not saying that because I want to seem like I'm pretentious or anything like that, but I genuinely really like the novel Ulysses. I really do. I really agree with the fact that it's probably one of the, if not the greatest novel of the 20th century. I mean, you've got a couple in there that probably rank relatively high, in my opinion. As far as literary merit, well, I'm not talking about like my favorite books. I'm talking literary merit. You probably got Gravity's Rainbow by Thomas Pynchon. Pinchon. I don't know how do you say his name. How do you say his name? You've probably got, some Faulkner in there, maybe. But I think the rawness of Bukowski is what I like the most. I think that his emotional rawness matters. And I didn't talk about that on the TikTok because basically on the TikTok videos, what I do is I talk about alcohol. I talk about drinks. I like to talk about booze. But I don't talk about the impact of the writers. The interesting thing about Charles Bukowski is that, like, you look at even music. Like, Jim Morrison was really influenced by Jack Kerouac and Allen Ginsberg and Arthur Rimbaud and Charles Baudelaire. You look at Joy Division, and Ian Curtis had a wealth of literary heroes. None of these really great songwriters, even Bob Dylan, Kerouac, and Ginsberg, none of them cite Bukowski. Very few people cite Bukowski as an influence, and I'm one of them. I didn't really cite him as an influence. I had never read him at that point. What's odd to me is that my mind, my experiences, my outlook on the world is similar in a sense. And I find that really interesting. And what I find even more interesting is that Charles Bukowski's favorite drink was a Boilermaker, and I'd never really had a Boilermaker before. And I'm going to tell you that those things creep up on you. I see the light is fading. So I'm gonna call it up. I think TikTok I don't know if it's going to end or not, but you know what I think I'm going to do is I'm going to start posting more of these things, the TikToks that I talk about alcohol and things like that on this channel. And hopefully you guys like that. I'm not a bartender. I'm just a drinker. Like my grandfather and my grandfather before me and his father, and I probably got a long line of drinkers there. You might think maybe I should slow down. I do slow down. But tonight's a night that I'm thinking about Bukowski, and tonight's a night that I think I'm going to drink a lot. So until next time, cheers, my friends.